Misconception, one of humanity's favorite pastimes. We convince ourselves the world is a certain way, not because we have seen it with our own eyes, but because we have been told so, over and over again. And so, a myth is born. It spreads, it grows, until it becomes an unquestioned truth. And nowhere, my dear listener, is this more evident than in the realm of human relationships, especially when it comes to avoidant attachment. Yes, avoidance. The distant, the mysterious, the ones who vanish like ghosts just when you start to believe you have them. You've heard the stories. Perhaps you've lived them. Perhaps you've been left staring at an unanswered text, wondering if you imagined the closeness, if you were a fool for believing that walls could be softened with patience. But tell me, what if everything you thought you knew about avoidance was wrong? What if you were misreading the signals? What if the very thing you believed about them, their coldness, their inability to love, their apathy, wasn't the truth, but merely a carefully crafted illusion? Ah, now that, dear listener, is worth exploring. So today, we embark on a journey through 5 myths about avoidant attachment, each more deeply ingrained than the last. And perhaps, by the end of it, you will not only see avoidance in a new light, but understand something about yourself as well. Myth 1. Avoidants don't want love. A simple one, isn't it? A clean, easy answer. They don't want love. They're incapable of it. They prefer being alone. Ah, how comforting to believe, how tidy, how convenient. You see, the trouble with understanding avoidance is that they do not behave the way we expect lovers to behave. They do not cling, they do not chase, they do not reassure. And so we conclude, they must not want love at all. But tell me, have you ever seen a man staring at a closed door? Have you ever watched a woman walk away, only to glance back when she thought no one was looking? That is avoidant love, a love felt in silence, in hesitation, in the deep sighs of someone who wishes, more than anything, that they could be different. You see, avoidance is not a lack of love. It is the fear of it. It is a soul that has learned from a young age that attachment is dangerous, that closeness is unpredictable, that to rely on another is to invite ruin. They do not reject love because they do not want it. They reject love because they do not trust it. And that, my dear friend, is a very different thing. Myth 2. If they loved you, they would stay. Ah, the grand romantic rule, written into every love story since the dawn of time. When you love someone, you stay. Sounds right, doesn't it? Feels right. But then, so does every illusion. Let me tell you a story. Once, I knew a man, an old friend, let's call him Henry. A brilliant mind, well-read, well-spoken, the kind of man who could captivate a room with nothing but a glance. And yet, Henry had a habit, a peculiar one. Whenever he felt himself growing attached to someone, he left. Not in anger, not in cruelty. No, Henry left like a man quietly slipping out of a dinner party before dessert, before anyone could ask him to stay, before he might be expected to reciprocate the warmth. One day I asked him why. He chuckled, took a sip of his drink and said, "Because it's easier to leave before I'm left." You see, avoidants do not walk away because they do not care. They walk away because they care too much, because the idea of someone discovering their needs, of someone seeing them vulnerable, is unbearable. And so they sabotage it before it can sabotage them. They leave before you can leave them. It is not absence of love, my dear listener. It is fear of loss disguised as control. Myth 3. Avoidants are manipulative. Ah, yes, the favorite accusation. The avoidant is a game player. They push and pull. They give just enough to keep you hoping, then take it away. They leave you confused, questioning your worth. Oh, but tell me, have you ever seen a caged animal? Have you watched it pace back and forth, desperate to escape even as it eyes the open door? That is an avoidant in love. Yes, they run. Yes, they return. Yes, they create distance. And then, just when you have made peace with their absence, they step closer again. But it is not manipulation. It is conflict. They are torn between two warring instincts, one that craves connection and one that fears it. They do not play games because they enjoy them. They play games because they do not know how else to survive. And if you mistake that for malice, you do not understand the war inside them. Myth 4. Avoidants are happier alone. Now this one is particularly tragic. I have seen many people tell themselves this myth. They tell themselves to make peace with loss. Well, they're better off alone. They don't need me. They never cared anyway. But let me tell you a secret. No one is happy alone, not truly. Yes, avoidants have trained themselves to function in solitude. Yes, they have mastered the art of self-sufficiency. But tell me, why then do they return? Why do they look for you in the quiet spaces between conversations? Why do they watch from afar, never stepping forward, but never quite leaving either? Because avoidance is not freedom. It is a prison built to keep out pain. But in doing so, it keeps out love as well. Avoidants do not stay alone because they prefer it. They stay alone because they believe they must. Myth 5. If you love them enough, they'll change. The final myth. The most dangerous one. This is the myth that keeps people waiting, that keeps hearts clinging to hope, to the illusion that if they can just be more patient, more kind, more understanding, the avoidant will come around. But my dear listener, love is not a cure. You cannot love someone into security. You cannot outlast someone's fear. Because the truth is this: only they can choose to change. Not you, not your patience, not your devotion. Only them. If they do not decide, if they do not face the ghosts of their past, if they do not challenge the patterns they have lived in for so long, then no amount of love will change them. And if you wait, believing that love alone will be enough, you will break yourself trying. So, my dear listener, these are the myths we tell ourselves. And yet, what is the truth? The truth is that avoidants love deeply. They just do it in silence. The truth is that they fear closeness, not because they do not want it, but because they want it so much, it terrifies them. The truth is that they do not need to be fixed, only understood. And the greatest truth of all? If an avoidant ever truly chooses to stay, if they stand in the storm of their fear and let themselves be seen, then that love is one of the rarest things you will ever encounter. But it must be their choice. Not yours and not love's, theirs.
If you believe this video might help someone dear to you, share it with them. A small gesture on your part could mean the world to a friend in need.